All right, welcome. Thanks for coming on. This is a requested video, and the topic is what is Contango and how does Contango actually make UVXY and VXX and others go down? So, thanks for asking this question, and let's get to the answer right now. All right, so you hear people talking about Contango all the time, or maybe you don't, but I'm certainly talking about Contango all the time. And sometimes it gets thrown around, and you hear about it, and you're like, "Oh yeah, Contango, yeah, okay," but you're not quite sure what it's about or how it works. So I just want to explain it really simply. It gets misunderstood a lot. I think and I don't want to be too confusing here, but the misunderstanding comes with well, let's go through it real quick. UVXY and VXX are made of a combination of two futures. So if I go quickly to the ProShares website here, we can see what UVXY is made of right now. ProShares also uses some swaps, and those swaps are basically they're used to save money, but it's basically they emulate the same things we're talking about, so don't get too concerned over those. But right here we have SIBO Future 213. That's obviously a February future, and SIBO Future 116. And we've got 2,300 of the 116, and we've got 17,800 of the 213 future. So we're mostly the second month future right now. The first month is going to expire very soon. Actually, when you look at them this way, you can tell there's so little left of the first month future that we know the expiration will be this week. Then the March future will come on, and February will become the front month. Now, when a chart is in Contango, it means that there is an upwardly sloping term structure. So if I pull up the chart right now, this is the chart right now of the term structure in UVXY, and overall it's pretty flat. It does go from 19.8 all the way up to 19.92 overall, so overall it's upwardly sloping. But what matters to us immediately and what affects the actual pricing of UVXY and VXX is only these first 2 months, so January and February. We watch the other stuff because that will come into play later, but what immediately affects us is the first 2 months. And we can see here that January is cheaper than February. Thus, we are in Contango right now. And this chart gives information at the bottom, although I chopped it off of how much we are in Contango right now. But, and so every day, what happens is one or a certain percentage, let's say 1/30th, because it's however many days are in the month, basically 1/30th of the futures of the front month are sold, and 1/30th of the back month futures are bought. Now, if there's 29 days in the expiration cycle, then it might be 29. If there's 31, it might be 31. But basically, you divide the month for expiration into however many days there are, and that's the percentage of futures that are bought and sold. And it's a dollar amount. So so there's some confusion. A lot of people think that, like, okay, so you're buying something cheaper and you're selling it more expensive. So you're making money on that. I'm sorry. So you're selling something cheaper and buying something more expensive. So it's a net loss of money, and that's why the price goes down. But that's not actually true. The way Contango works is, and to best imagine this, you have to imagine that this is not a stationary situation here. This is a situation that is flowing, and the way it's flowing is down. These futures are constantly flowing. They're falling down towards spot price. So as time goes by, they're slowly falling. And the sum total of these falling each day is what makes UVXY go down. And so as we rebalance, we're allowing more space for UVXY to, we're allowing more space for the futures to fall. So instead of the future falling from 19.8 to 18.19, it can fall all the way from 20.1 to 18.9. And as each day goes by, it's just continually falling lower. But as we rebalance out, it just gives it more room to keep falling. And so that act of falling is the only thing that's at play here as far as why the price is going down. The price is only going down because these futures are falling towards spot. And the fact that as we rebalance allows these to continue to fall a little further than the day before, because now you've got a certain percentage that's going to fall from 20.1 instead of 19.8. The fact that it's allowed to fall a little bit further than the day before is what creates the edge and the advantage that Contango gives us. And that's it. You don't have to worry about like the price of this and the price of that and doing some complicated calculations, because it's a zero-sum game when they do the rebalance. It's the same amount of dollars. You sell, you know, when you do the math, you're going to end up selling a little bit more of these futures at a lower price for the same dollar amount as you're able to buy a few less at the higher price. But in the end, what you're doing is you're just expanding the horizon of how much these futures can fall to get to spot. And that's where you create Contango, and that's how you get these charts that over time go straight down, because as long as we're in Contango for a longer percentage of the time, a greater percentage of the time than we're in backwardation, and as it turns out, it's about 80% in Contango, and thus, this is the normal state of affairs, and thus, over time, these things are going to go straight down because you're just creating that extra little room for it to fall. It doesn't seem like a lot, but remember, these numbers are per month. So if you have 5% Contango per month, you can times that by 12 to get how much per year, and those numbers become real big real quick once you get Contango up to like 5, 6, 10%. Remember, get Contango to 10%, that's 120% per year that these things are slowly falling lower. Now, question, something that people don't understand also is that they see, oh, well, this has come from like 100 million down to 10. Well, we could get a spike one day and it's going to come right back. Well, that's not true, because after next week, this front month future will be gone forever. It's off the sheets. It's gone forever. And we'll have these the new Feb future come on board. And so there's no real way to turn back time to get these prices way back up. It takes a long period of time for this slow process of us slowly moving the future up higher as it slowly falls lower, repeated rebalancing over and over and over again that gets us to fall so far. Thus, you couldn't have one single event that would make this spike back to where it was. It would take being in backwardation and slowly, slowly over time, rebalancing up, 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 up. It's impossible that you could get this to just spike back to where it was a year ago or something. It takes time in the form of days going by and rebalancing, staying with a certain shape. Like, for example, if it stayed in backwardation of 20% over a long period of time and it slowly rebalanced upward, then you could get back up there. But we don't see that happening. And as I said, it generally stays in Contango about 80% of the time. So there's no way for it to get back up to where it was. And even if we have an extended bear market, it's not going to create a situation where these curves are going to turn around and we're going to start heading back up to the top. We had some huge moves in the last year where we were able to like erase 6 months of movement, a year even of movement, but to think that we could erase like 2 years of movement, 10 years of movement, and get these things back up to where they started, for example, it just mathematically won't happen. So anyway, I hope that helps a little bit with understanding Contango. Once again, Contango is the state of futures where the front month is lower in price than the second month, which is lower than the third month. But when we're looking at these ETPs, we're only concerned with the first 2 months. And then for one day of the month, we'll only be concerned with February, and then it will switch to February and March. That will happen next week. So that's that. And if you have any more questions, please leave them below, and I'll try to explain it to you. Thanks for watching, and I will let you get back to your previously scheduled programming, whatever that might be. Let me come on and say goodbye to you here. Bye. Thanks for watching.